Hello and welcome to Sammy C. Press. Today we're diving back into something more than Shakespeare Poetry Workbook, and we're going to be discussing that of Langston Hughes. Some quick facts. He was born in 1902 and he died in 1967. He was an only child. He was from Joplin, Missouri. He had a red-haired monkey named Jocko. He loved books as well as his grandmother's stories. He lived with his grandmother much of his childhood. Interestingly, Hughes did not start writing poetry until high school, when he was chosen to be the class poet by his white classmates. He never stopped writing. You may be forced, as it were, to study poetry or even read this book. But have no fear. You, like Langston, might realize that you are an incredibly talented writer. After finishing high school, Langston went to visit his estranged father in Mexico. While on a train ride, he crossed over the Mississippi River. He began to think about what that river meant to African Americans in the past. Then his mind wandered to other rivers and their past. On the back of an envelope, in the span of 15 minutes, Hughes wrote one of the most well-known poems of today. He spent a year in Mexico and then a year at Columbia University. He worked hard to support himself. He worked as an assistant cook, a launderer, and a busboy. He also traveled to Africa and Europe, working as a seaman for a couple of years. That's when he came home with his red-haired monkey named Jocko. Hughes was an avid reader. He had a shipmate on his first trip to Africa in 1923 that threw all his books overboard. He was only able to keep one book. Do you know what that book was? The book was none other than Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. Whitman's book was important to Hughes. Whitman set the example Hughes himself wanted to follow. That poetry could and should be made out of ordinary speech for ordinary people. Hughes was interested also in other forms of literature. He wrote more than 9 plays. In 1935, the tragedy Mulatto became the first play by an African American to appear on Broadway. One of Hughes' most remarkable poems is the book-length montage A Dream Deferred, which was published in 1951. Hughes was influenced not only by Whitman, but also Paul Laurence Dunbar, and that of Carl Sandburg as well. In his autobiography, Hughes wrote something I found very interesting. My best poems were all written when I felt the worst. When I was happy, I didn't write a thing. Hughes was not alone in this. Looking at other talented poets and artists, we can see how this rings true for them as well. Emily Dickinson, Sylvia Plath, Samuel Tyler Coleridge, and others. When you're feeling down or blue, why not give writing a try? It can help you to express yourself and help in soothing and healing as well. Hughes did face difficulties. Neither of Hughes' parents supported his writing. He faced criticism from African Americans saying his writing was too white, and whites saying his writing was too black. Despite this, Langston pressed on, not giving up. Because of this, Hughes was one of the first and most successful writers to incorporate African American musical traditions like jazz and blues into literature. Langston Hughes taught me personally that poetry is not all about rules, rhyme, and meter and rhythm. It's a way to express human emotion, hopes and dreams, frustrations as well as pain. Not to be judged, but to be enjoyed no matter who you are and where you come from in life. Langston's accomplishments and the impact he has made on many continues today. Take courage and do not let the negativity of others dampen your determination to do what you love. Find what inspires you and enjoy watching and experimenting with the birth and development of your own unique, wonderful style. Hughes has written some beautiful poems. There are way too many for us to discuss in the short period of time we have allotted. In our workbook, we include the poem Mother to Son, as well as I Know Rivers, and we have an extensive breakdown of that poem and all the poetic devices included. It really is a good poem to kind of jumpstart your vocabulary into learning what devices are used in poetry. For this video, we're going to discuss the poem Still Here. I been scared and battered, my hopes the wind done scattered. Snow has frizzed me, sun has baked me. Looks like between 'em thy done. Tried to make me stop laughing, stop loving, stop living. But I don't care. I'm still here. Now we know that Hughes is an extremely elegant writer. Yet in the beginning lines of the poem, we can see grammar was not his concern. Why do you think that is the case? Why did Langston deliberately make that choice? As we think about the poem, what emotion is Langston trying to convey to us? When we begin to see what he wants us to see, the narrator feels battered by what he's been through. Grammar taking the same beating as the speaker. Interesting, right? Being able to use words to convey this deeper meaning. More important things are on his mind. He doesn't have the strength to worry about grammar. He has neglected grammar for the sake of higher priorities. I love the strength the narrator has in this poem. Despite his struggles and the negative and stressful effects, he calls out, "I'm still here." This is an excellent example of how you can play with words and structure to convey emotions and paint a clearer picture of what it is you would like to express. So please dive into Langston Hughes. He is a poetic genius. And like I said, if you're interested in a more of a breakdown for the I Know Rivers poem, you can check it out in our workbook. I'll leave it in the link in the description below. Hope you enjoyed our discussion today. Until next time.